Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 949. Tonight, going to talk about Windows compatibility assessment, a script, and a link to building the script if you need to check your clients or anyone quickly to know whether it's can be upgraded. Can Windows 10 be upgraded? So I have some great links. I have a link to Windows 10 with the end of life, and then how to force a feature update in Windows to do it organically. And I'm going to show you the group policy, and I have a link to it that I had to execute Wednesday night to upgrade my system. So we'll get into that, and then a nice stack of listener email, and then a follow-up on SMTP to go. Sunday morning, I was able to test, and I even deployed that today for a client. Interesting having a weekend of nothing to do except the show on Saturday, and then there was a couple little things, but since I had the free time, I put it to good use. So that's basically what, as I was doing all of that, I was building tonight's show. So hope you enjoy that. So let's begin with first thanking Instant House Call. We want to thank them for being a sponsor, and they have a tremendous deal that if you haven't taken advantage of this yet, you have to. Instant House Call, the full featured remote support for $7 a year. $7. It's normally $468. It is incredibly easy to run and to be able to remote into your clients, to family, to friends. Very simple. And one of the things I love, I have 3 screens here. And if I'm running remote into a system that's more than one screen, well, I'll get a pop-up window that I can actually move to mirror the same windows that I'm logged into, the same monitors. So I love that, and the easy ability to switch between monitor. This is it. You got to try it out. Go to MikeNation.net and definitely click on the orange link for the Instant House Call deal. Sign up. You're going to love it. First link for tonight is Windows 10 support ends on October 14th. We know this is coming. This is just another reminder that if you're supporting anybody that's got Windows 10, maybe in your own organization, make sure they know there's no security updates. You have to replace it with Windows 11. So the question is, can that existing system run Windows 11? So that's what I'm faced with all of our clients. And I have to do a compatibility check. So that's going to be a link coming up here. So one of the things is, this is a reminder in the first link in the show notes where you have this to be able to show your client, link to your clients, link to your boss or somebody at the office where if you have Windows 10, we're running out of time. And to us, my company, MTS Consulting, this is the summer of deploying new systems, because when it hits September, it's just going to get nuts for everybody waiting to the last minute. So I have, and you've heard me talk about it so much, I have a RMM program called Synchro. And one of the things that I found Ninja One, be careful of these pop-ups. This is a Windows 11 upgrade compatibility assessment using PowerShell. Now, I found one specifically built for Synchro in the Synchro script community. And I can, with just one click, I literally add it to my favorites and scripts, and in one click, it'll deploy to any system that's running that we have our agent on, and it comes back and it brings me the results of each of the tests on, and it happens in like under 60 seconds, and I can quickly determine whether the system can run Windows 11 or not. Now, if you're in an organization or you're dealing with something that you have multiple systems, this is a great script where you get an output that you are able to read to be able to quickly summarize and tell you whether or not the system can be upgraded to Windows 11. So this is very, very big in just to be able to quickly make that determination. I have a client with 30 computers and most of them have to be replaced. So I'm in the middle of putting the proposal together for that upgrade. Boy, my month of August is starting to get booked up already. Northern Jersey, we got 6 systems that we got to do. My son has been aggressively working with systems where he just finished one company, and then we have another, and especially clients with peer servers. So literally not this Saturday and not Memorial Day weekend, but the weekend after, I have a peer server that we got to upgrade for a client. We're going to do that first, then the workstations. So when you're upgrading to Windows 11, and let's say you determine first, hey, it's a computer that can be upgraded. We're going to get into that right now, because what does Windows 11 24H2, which is, if you go to settings, and this is our test system. So if we go to settings and we go to system and we go to about, and if we take a look, I'm already 24H2. So we'll come back to that in a minute. So what is 24H2? That's the latest build, but you got to be careful. My home system here in my office was at 22H2, and I kept checking for updates. It would do some updates, but it would never bring the feature update 24H2. And what is 24H2 anyway? And here's a link for a detailed look. There's improvements to File Explorer, including a more streamlined experience with text scaling and pivot-based views. I do not take advantage of that. There are also taskbar and system tray enhancements, such as quick settings, which provides a quick access to common settings. Additionally, the update includes new features like auto HDR, and which was previously disabled, and improvements to the Microsoft Store, which I never use. But I was notified when I went to the update that end of life for Windows 11 22H2 is there, and you have to upgrade. So I was forced with a problem, and Saturday night I started looking into it, and I was like, I did not want to run the Windows. We're going to take a look at this. The Windows Media Creation Tool. So I'm going to type that Media Creation Tool, and that's what the consensus seemed to be. Create a media creation tool and go through that. I was starting to do that, and you go to the Windows 11 site, and you make. I've done this a lot, and I've made the media, and this is very easy to do. But I've only done it when I'm doing from scratch. So now there's the Windows 11 Assistant. This is the best option for installing Windows 11 on a device you're currently using. So click Download Now. I was afraid to do that. I want the Windows 11 upgrade to appear in the upgrade natively to be able to run it. And one of the things that I wanted to be able to do is have it appear there. Because I don't want to have a problem where maybe everything gets wiped or everything gets moved. I really didn't feel comfortable on my system, even though I have a great backup. Well, let's take a look at this. How to force Windows 11 22H2. Now remember, this isn't forcing it on a system that's not compatible. It is forcing it on a system that's already running Windows 11. So let me take you through this. And this is a great site that I was able to take advantage of, a group policy. So you run GP edit. So let's do that. Let's run GP edit and follow the instructions. So here's GP edit. Then we go to administrative template. Wait, you see how easy this is. Administrative template. And then let's take a peek. Where are we at? Administrative template, Windows components, Windows update. Windows components, Windows update. And then we got, let's open this up. And this is manage updated offered from Windows Update. Okay, so let's take a look at that. I'm moving the screen around here. By the way, it's perfect what I'm going to be able to, you don't have to worry about this. If you're just listening to this, where I'm actually demonstrating it, you can go to the website that's going to be in the show notes, which is instructions to force this update. There is a select the target feature update version. Double click it to where it opens up. If you enable it, there are 2 lines. And you can put Windows 11 in the first field, and then the next one, what's the update version? 24H2. You click OK and apply. Now you can force the update. Now you can reboot to force the update, or you can actually run a command. And what we're going to do is we're going to run CMD. Actually, you know what? Let's do CMD, and we're going to run that as administrator. And I think it's group GP update /force. Now, it is updating the policy. Now, I didn't do any update here, so it's applying whatever policy that I just made a change. And you just wait till the prompt comes back. That's it. I then went to settings, and then I immediately went to Windows Update, and guess what? Appearing in a box read Windows, to download and install Windows 11 feature update 24H2. It was that fast, that quick. Now, the upgrade is not that fast. That took about an hour. And I'm at 24H2 on my local computer, where I was not on doing that. And let's take a look here. This is my main system, and let's go Windows Update, and or let's go System and About, and you're going to see now it's doing the update, and it's 24H2, and now I'm all corresponding updates after that, it's happening. When you reboot, when the update is done, come back into the policy. Okay, come back into that policy and pick not configured, and then I force the policy update again. So you want to turn that off, because you don't want to have to keep forcing that same update. I don't think it'll do it anyway, but I wasn't taking any chances. So if we run into a computer where we can't get the Windows Update to bring the Windows 11, maybe even on a system that's Windows 10, but it's compatible, this is a great, easy way. If you're Windows Pro, you have access to group policy. Now, if you're not the Pro version, if you're the Home, there's a trick. Google that, and you'll be able to add group policy to your system. That is something that you absolutely want to take advantage of. And while we're going through this whole process with going to Windows 11 and making sure that just making sure that we can properly upgrade everybody. We want to upgrade everybody to the latest, greatest version of Windows 11. So if you're going to do it to 24H2. Now, one of the things, I have a link, and this is really from PC Magazine, which is what's new in Windows 11 24H2. Because you definitely want to, and everything's about Copilot now. I've been trying to avoid it, but now, you can't avoid it anymore. So there's new platform code, updated start menu with phone link. Don't care about it. New file explorer features. That's okay. But I hate the pop-ups, and you can see me clicking them and getting rid of them as it happens. I use a fix. I don't like the new shell. So, and I've talked about this in the past. If you want to look up, there's great tips and tricks and utilities where you can go back to the old standard of the shell menu when you right click on a file, which is what I want. Let's see. Let's keep going. New taskbar features, and they go into all the taskbar features. Copilot changes for regular Windows 11 PCs. So I don't know if you use Copilot, but this will go over everything that it's, all the changes that they made. Local AI image generation with Co-Creator. Boy, I am way, way, way behind on anything AI related. I am trying to step it up, and that's something I'm going to, begin to do more of. And as I explore that in my journey, I will absolutely, update you. Now, the last topic before I get to the email is SMTP2, the number 2, go.com. This is where you can easily, and I've linked this the last couple weeks. So for signing up with the free plan, where you could literally send 1,000 emails a month. There's no way a copier that we have, well, I shouldn't say that, is going to send that out. I set up my HP multifunction machine in my office here Sunday morning. It took me about 15 minutes. So what you have to do is sign up and verify your email, and they'll send you an email. Then you got to have a verified user for the email, and you'll get another link. After you set up a user and you set up a password, and that's what you're going to key in to the SMTP email outbound settings on a device. And it just flawlessly worked. All of my test scans, you get a nice dashboard report summary online that you can take a look at that. And when I sent this information to a client down here in St. Petersburg, they tested it from a Raspberry Pi device for notifications, and I gave them all the settings, and they were like, thank you, it works so great. And we did this where we created a Microsoft 365 email account, just email only, because you don't need the apps for that. And I went through the whole process of setting up the account for that email address, and they'll never have to log into that email ever again. And it just worked. So, given that, let's take a look at some of the emails that I received, and we have 5 of them tonight that I want to go over. And the first one is from Sam, and he kind of misunderstood something, but provided good information here. And he says, "Hi, Mike. You mentioned that you are testing SMTP to go, and I hadn't actually tested it yet, but we are a long-time user of this service. You mentioned that it can still happen that your domain is not verified as the receiver. No. And that is the result of it not properly setting it up. That's true. And before I continue, what my problem was, that the Gmail account that we set up on the scanner would send to everybody in the world except to their Microsoft Business 365. Their Microsoft Business 365 looked at that SMTP relay from Gmail as spam, and it had a high confidence level. So once I seen where it was blocked, I trusted it and did that on a whole bunch of tests, and now they're receiving it. So that was the problem. It wasn't within SMTP to go, and you heard me just describe how simple it is for a single user where you're not doing a domain. Now, Sam gets into what do you got to do for the domain, which is another great idea if you're a business and you really need this feature. He says, because you are probably missing email authentication. You are sending emails over the internet, so it is required to set up SPF, DKIM, DMARC for every easy service that you send mail from. Absolutely. That is completely 100% true. You got to make sure that you have those DNS entries and that they are correct. If you are marked as spam when sending from SMTP to go, which we're not, you have not verified that you are the real sender. And you would have to go to sending verified senders and add the domain name of the client to the list. Now, I set up an individual free one for the client. Now, we're probably going to set up like more of a company one where I am going to take advantage of those advanced features. So then you're provided with 3 CNAME records that you need to add to the DNS. This essentially covers your SPF DKIM for this domain, because DMARC is not service bound but more domain bound, and you leave that record as is. We've been using this service for a long time and never really had a spam problem as long as we set the domain right. I completely agree. If you are planning to use this service more for your business, I recommend setting an account up for yourself to add client domains to it. This makes management a lot easier. You pick one inexpensive plan to get access to all the features, number of allowed senders, and the email limit. Then you can bill very small fee for your clients to use this service with a fair use policy, for example. Because sometimes the SMTP limit can be reached easily if you hook it up to a website, for example, instead of just a copier machine. You are correct. For the way we're doing it, which is a scan to email, and for clients, you don't, we're never going to hit that limit. But there are options where you can pay for the actual limit. So there's a starter for $15 a month where you're allowed 10,000 emails a month, 30 days of email reporting, ticket chat and phone support, sub-account management, SMS messaging, and scheduled reporting. Then they have the pro version, $75 a month. You're allowed to send 100,000 emails. 30 days of email reporting, the same everything except now dedicated IP address and email testing tools. So that's very cool for the 3 versions. Sam, thank you for your email. This is from Brian. Following your item on deep cleaning process, I'd like to suggest High-Bit Uninstaller, as well as uninstalling apps. It provides extra tools for junk file and registry cleaning, as well as startup apps and other functions. They do a standalone startup manager and a system info tool too. All run as portable as well. Worth a look. Brian, thank you. I will link High-Bit Uninstaller to the show notes. Now, I talked about RAID versus AHCI and something we were running into, and I got 2 feedbacks on this. And this is from who is Pup on Tech. Hey, Mike, Dell has been doing this for many years. Sometimes switching it out of RAID into AHCI works. Other times, especially this happens on, you will have to load the driver manually onto the USB flash drive and then click browse for a driver in the Windows install when you're up to that formatting hard drive option. It's typically the RST driver on the manufacturer's site, though it does seem to work between OEMs. Typically, I have seen the most issues on HPs needing the driver. In terms of Dells, if you don't run into the drive not showing up issue, wouldn't stress about it. If you go into almost any of your Dells, you will see it's set to RAID. Why? I have no idea, but that's just how it is. Thank you. And that's something we were, noticing. And I would always question, look, you're not setting up for RAID. Hey, you have to have more than one drive to have RAID. Well, if you're in a laptop that doesn't have that, so why would you do that? This is a follow-up. This is from Hilton. Hi, Mike. Couple tips based on this week's show. 1, when we replace NVMe drives in Latitudes, we don't bother with the Microsoft installer to reinstall Windows. All the new Latitudes lets you do an OS recovery over the internet. We just swap out the drive, connect an Ethernet cable, and boot to the boot menu and choose the OS recovery option. Hilton, we have never done that. We absolutely have to give that a try. We then get it added to AD, and in time it registers in Intune and installs all our software. Then we just remove the local account and let Intune manage the local admin. That's very, very cool. And speaking of local accounts, for the second issue you had of a computer with no admin account, there are easier ways to fix that. We all keep a USB stick with Hiren's boot CD and use the password utility in it to reset the local admin or do whatever we need in a GUI. If you have any moral issues with Hiren's, I also have a USB stick of the Windows password reset tool, which is DOS based, and all it does is enable local admin and clear the password. We find ourselves doing this more and more often because IT security likes to delete what they think are orphaned computer accounts from AD. But in turn, it turns out that since we have over 4,000 computers, 75% of the accounts that look orphaned are really computers that are seldom used or mostly used in locations that are off the network. They get deleted from AD, and we slowly get tickets from people who suddenly can't log in. Thanks for reading my email. Can't wait for show 1,000 to hit. Keep it up. Oh, Hilton, thank you so much. Now for the final email of the night, and the timing's perfect here. This is a question, and this is a really good one because I would like the answer to this too. Mike, I know all the ways to manually change a public network to private. But do you know of any utility or program that can just toggle this setting, or maybe a script or batch file? It's a pain in the butt since it seems to happen to any client PC that connects to a new network, sometimes even when disconnecting and reconnecting a network cable for a bit. Steve, thank you for this question. Does anybody know of a script? I have not had a chance after reading this to actually solve this, but if I solve it, I will link it in next week's show notes, and I'll definitely email you, Steve. If anybody has a fix for this, because we run into this all the time, especially after a Windows update, and we see where users can no longer connect to peer systems or other things that are needed within the office. That's because Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, sets it to public instead of private, even though they're on a private Wi-Fi or a private Ethernet. Doesn't make sense. Steve, we run into this all the time also. Does anybody have a quick fix that you can link to me? A batch file, something. Email MikeTechShow@gmail.com. I really, really appreciate it. And don't forget, follow me on Facebook. Not Facebook. Well, you can follow me on Facebook, Mike Tech Show, but follow me on YouTube, and you can subscribe, and that's Michael Smith MTS on YouTube, and I post a video every week for all the shows. So, recap. What did we learn tonight? What did we learn? So, end of life, Windows 10, October 14th. What's new in Windows 11, 24H2? Do we need to check someone's compatibility? Do we need a compatibility assessment? Well, we got the script. How to force a feature update. If you need a free SMTP relay account, SMTP to go. And then we have a new deep cleaning recommendation for utility and some great tips from the rest of the emails. Thank you so much, everybody. All your feedback, continue to send me, MikeTechShow@gmail.com. Don't forget, hit the main website. It's MikeTechShow.com, which flips you to MikeNation.net. And there's a long story behind that I've told a couple of times that I'll have to probably get into why that is, and why I ended up with MikeNation.net. And it was, I'll get into that another time. What else? Don't forget Instant House Call for $7. You got to sign up, especially before that deal ends. And if it does end, you're going to regret not doing it. That's it. Please help support the show. There's a donation button on the main website. I really appreciate it. It helps with equipment. It helps with upgrading. It helps with my internet services, everything that's geared for the show. I put back into it. Thank you. See you next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye.